Geez, you've got so many credits to your name. I was looking at your profile. MCT, MVP, Senior
Yeah,
Solutions Architect.
yeah.
Not bad. Tell me about what's happened in your life that made you keep pushing and keep going up that pathway. Fast track, for example.
Yeah, if you ask me, I'm a strong believer in in the technology. Okay, I do believe that technology is changing the human life the way it has been designed earlier. And if you ask me about myself, then I try to more focus on learn new things. Okay, as you mentioned about the fast track, so that was one of the aim in my bucket list that I wanted to achieve this, and I tried my level best. Definitely, there are a lot of support from community, a lot of support from my friends, colleagues, right, who actually really inspire me to do that. But again, there are other people outside my organization and outside the community. Those are in the, their, what you can say, the career path. They also achieve a lot. So I think that really inspired me to achieve more in that aspect. And that's how I became a fast track recognized architect. I think this is the second award that I have. I'm looking forward the third time. If I eligible and if I got that award, then that becomes kind of a hat trick for me.
Wow. What happened to you that made you feel that one was not enough? Was it someone who was a really high achiever around you, and you said, if I'm ever going to be good, I'll be like that person.
No, if you ask me, as I mentioned, I'm a strong believer in myself. Whatever I'm doing, I never compare my day-to-day activity with others. Okay, but yes, I do
Okay.
inspired by looking at their thought process, how they are trying to grow themselves. So I try to adapt as much as I can, but I never compare my day-to activity with others. That's how I typically focus my career path, Chris.
What is your day-to-day work like? When you wake up in the morning, do you straight away roll over to your phone and start searching stuff, or do you have a quiet,
Okay.
peaceful morning?
Um, It's actually a good question, Chris. So the day starts with a spirituality. Okay, I do my yoga. At least I try to spend close to 60 minutes, if not 90 minutes. But
Get out of
I
here.
try to
Wow.
spend, yeah, I try to spend some time, 60 minutes to perform my yoga. After that, I read a lot of books. Those are categorically highlighted in the spirituality. So I
I
spend
saw
again
them. You have a
60
stack.
minutes. Yeah, and then I start my day with either a cup of coffee or a tea. Okay, and my breakfast, and then start to focus on day-to-day activity. Typically, I try to give more focus the emails those I should respond to my customers, then my colleagues, and then my management teams. Okay, I try to categorize in this way so that my customers should be always happy, and my team should be also rally around me if they need any support from me, and then also, but obviously my management team. Typically, I start my day around 8:30 to 9 a.m. IST morning and try to close my day around sometimes 6:30, but it can go up to 9:30 or 10 p.m. in the evening as well. That's how
Hmm.
my busy schedule in day. In terms of my contribution to community, what I typically do, I try to spare at least a one day in a week, primarily Saturday, if that is not planned for my family time. But sometimes it gets hectic, right? So what I do whenever I get some free time in this entire 9 hours or 10 hours a day, I try to make a note of a couple of points that I need to brought forward or showcase to the community so that I can get some ball that's rolling for Saturday. So that's how I try to focus more on that. So I try to balance both my day-to-day activity with my organization, what they assign to me in terms of delivery, and then second aspect to contribute to the community.
Yes, actually, a lot of people are confused with MVPs, for example, is how much time to give to the community. I'm glad you gave it a limit because it's sustainable. How did you get into yoga, and what does it do for you beyond what we know? It seems to bring peace and clarity to people's lives. What happened that got you into yoga?
I think a couple of months back, close to 7, 8 months back, I was going through a bad patch where my blood pressure was shoot up close to 150 and 160, and doctor advised me not to put too much pressure on you in terms of day-to-day activity, and started the
Hmm.
medicines and all. And then one day what happens, I was in discussing with one of my close friend, and he advised me wanting to try for this yoga. Okay, although I am a strong believer in the spirituality, but I never tried the yoga earlier, because when it comes to yoga, few people always believe that yoga means you have to do some sort of activities, but they never thought about it is beyond that, where you try to achieve some inner peace, right? So with that advice, I try to focus more on the yoga, and that's how I enter into the yoga.
Hmm.
When I started yoga close to 6 months back, I was just a beginner. I just did 3 months of crash course, and then there was a theoretical and practical thing. Now I started focusing to become a yoga teacher, because that's how I believe that if I become a yoga teacher, maybe I can inspire more people, right? They'll also try to understand the benefits that you get by doing not only just asanas, but also to focus more on the, some sort of focus to gain your inner peace. That's how it is. I enter into the yoga.
Did you have to detox from your mobile phone? Because, we're always looking at the side just to see what's there.
No,
Or you don't? You just turn it off or push it away.
no. I think whenever there is a particular focus, I try to keep my mobile phone in a separate zone and never focus on that. And whenever I mean, that's how I divide it. I try to divide my bucket for contribution to community, as I mentioned earlier, right? So I try to give specific time to focus on the LinkedIn or other activities. I never get,
Yes.
to be honest, I never get confused that no, I need to always focus on the LinkedIn activity or WhatsApp kind of a thing.
It's great. It's a great maturity of mind. Most people find it hard to
Yeah.
isolate the sections of their day, and therefore just becomes a scrambled egg, right, across it. So let's go back to your early years, Rakesh. Tell me about the person that you once were and what you recall from those growing years.
If I reflect back when I started my journey as a software engineer, okay,
No, I
I
mean even back further, like baby Rakesh, like the happy child or the angry child. What were you like as a young person?
okay. So I basically belong to a middle class family in India. I grew up in the middle
Yes.
class family. My father was he was doing a service. He was I would say a mechanical guy, fully focused on the mechanical stuff. My mother is a housewife, and I'm a I would say elder son in the family,
Okay.
and I was fully focused during my childhood on the education, whatever activity that I had to perform, whether it's educational section, whether it is in sports section. I just try to focus what best I can do. Okay,
Yes.
and I always shy to become a speaker whenever there are any kind of a occasion happens within the school or college. I
You go to
try
the
to
back.
yeah, I try to participate, but then I always believe I should not be front seater. I should be always a back seater. So, but
Did
as
you
I
did you
go,
feel you understood what your knowledge you were trying to say? Did you have the
yeah,
knowledge and the
yeah, I
expertise, but you
was,
just didn't know?
yeah, but that's where my friends, couple of friends during my college days and post college days also, they really inspired me. If you just try to do with this, you are not going to achieve anything. Okay, so you gotta get kind of a get going attitude. You try to focus, and that actually inspired me a lot. And during my college days, I try to focus more on that aspect, and then that's how I become started learning the power of self believing yourself, right? And then
Hmm. Hmm.
once I got out of the college, and then focus more on the learning aspect, and focus more on the solution architecting and developer kind of a thing, right? So then I learn a lot, and there also I met so many good people, though really inspired me and support me in this area, and then that's how I started, growing in that area.
Can you break it down for me, Rakesh, about self-belief? So, for example, when I fear, if I start something new, maybe
Mhm.
it's on LinkedIn, you try to put something on there. I imagine, say, people laughing or making fun or thinking this is unprofessional. Maybe I wonder what it will do for their image of me, right? What is self-belief for you, and what were the voices in your head that you were trying to calm down, change things?
If you ask me, first of all, I never get confused, Chris. Okay, I never get
Okay.
bogged down that who is saying what about me. If I
Okay.
decided to go with this path, then I try to give my more than 100%. What it means that there will be always to balance the thing. But if you just
Wow.
try to focus more aspect what others are giving you that feedback or trying to procrastinate, right? It doesn't going to
Hmm.
support you, right, going forward.
True.
So,
It
so
has
I
no
define
value.
my own path. So I define my own path, whether it's a LinkedIn learning or whether it's in community learning. But I try to focus on that aspects.
Then, like, give me an example of something maybe you tried, it didn't work out for you. Maybe you say it failed, or it just wasn't what you had planned. Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, there are many examples. There are many examples. So I'll give you one of the example which really inspired me and whatever I'm today because of I would say that when I started my journey into this software engineering world back in 2001, I was
Mhm.
playing a role of VC++ developer. Okay, because I did the CDAC, one of the advanced course here in India which talks about the programming languages, database architectures, relationship, etc. And when I joined that particular company, they offered me a good amount of salary in INR. That is back in 2001.
Mhm.
And the contract was I'll be there for 3 months of time. I will learn the VC++ on their Go Live projects, right? And that's how I'm going to get. And then post that activity, they are going to continue me as an employee. Okay.
Wow.
Unfortunately, what happened? I spent close to 1 month of time. Something happened, and one fine day morning, they call me saying that, "Oh, sorry, we cannot continue." I said, "But we had a contract, 3 months of time. You should give me at least that 90 days of time. And if you believe after 90 days I'm not the right candidate or right talent, definitely you can
Yes,
kick me out, right?"
that's fair.
Uh,
Yeah.
but they decided not to continue with that, and I was kind of nervous that time. Then they offered me, you have two choices. One, either you get out of this organization right away. Second,
Wow.
uh, uh, not empathy, but looking at you, probably we would allow you that you can work here for a half a day. We will pay you a 50% of salary, not the whole salary. uh, then I discussed with my mother and father, and my father always he's a hero for me, and he always inspired. He's always saying, "No, that's fine. If it is half a day, fair enough. If it is 50% salary, that's fine. You are going to get
Yeah.
learn a lot of things. Spend some time. Okay, don't get bogged down. Don't get confused, and don't get frustrated. Definitely, tomorrow would be better day. And you won't believe I spent close to 1 year with that organization with a 50% of
Mm.
contribution. So definitely I got a 50% of salary, but remaining 50%, okay, that really helped me a lot in terms of
Yes.
build more connections, learn more things in the technology area, right? Where I started VC++, but 50% time in a day I used to spend with the 50% the VC++ development, and remaining 50% I started focusing on the other project development activities. And I think to your point though, that was a point that I decided to never look back, try to focus. If you have a strong believer, you can achieve anything in the world, right? So that's how I try to end up that particular instance.
What's interesting about that example is that on the one hand, you're right. You actually achieve so much more by staying and accepting that the 50% is much more valuable to you because you didn't have the experience, right? On the other hand, could there be a different story that if you left, you might have got a job at 100% somewhere else? How do you understand which was the better choice for you?
To answer your question, it was very simple for me. Whatever
Okay.
that was more fascinating for me, and whichever way that I could, enjoy that journey of that job, I would like to continue. And that's how, even though they pay 50%, I still continue that journey. And you know what happens after close to 7 years of time when I started entering into Dynamics. That journey of 50% of salary really helped me a lot because I gained so much of aspect of object-oriented programming, how to design the solution when it comes to database involvements and so on and so forth. That helped me a lot when I started in Dynamics journey. Okay. In
Totally.
addition to
Oh,
this, yeah, and
yep.
in addition to this, when I joined the Dynamics journey, there were a lot of interviews happen, and people used to ask me, "Do you know the fundamentals of object-oriented language?" But I spent my close to 5 years of time with VC++ programming language. I could able to crack that interview. I think that really helped me a lot, Chris.
I agree. Object-oriented programming, there's many people who do linear programming and very few who understand true OI. And obviously, if you had that foundation, that helps you with X++ and the way things work even in C# now, right, with the integrations as well.
Correct.
So, okay, so from that programming background, walking through your timeline, you move from one place to the other, like, for example, dealing in software and Infinity, spending a year and a half with that. What was happening in your mind about that jump between these places in a relatively short time? Were you being offered more or greater responsibility before you hit Blue Star?
Yeah, so what happens while I was focusing on this programming language, I met one of my teacher during my CDAC days, and he always used to tell me, don't focus what you're doing as a VC++ or a Visual Basic programmer. Try to see what's happening in the markets. And he actually gives me a lead that, look, there is a boom of ERP. And that time, ERP was not known to me. So I tried
Mm-hmm.
to learn what is this ERP. I was so fascinated about that ERP that some organization is doing something, the entire piece of work, which consists of all business processes together, right from accounts payable, account receivable, general, everything is together. And
Mm,
your job is to, just focus what they have built from a process perspective, from a technology perspective, and try to infuse your knowledge into it so that you can extend it further. So I think that again inspired me a lot. Then I need to enter into area of ERP. Another segment that I could see in that ERP that it was completely growing, that ERP segment, and I could see that I can become an architect in that area. So that was the aspiration one of my teacher gave me. So I thought, let's focus on that area, and then I started grooming. So that's where before I joined Blue Star Infotech, which is one of my first organization in the Dynamics world. Prior to that, I joined one of the organization in India, in Mumbai, where I learn a core concept of ERP. I don't know how many of you are aware. Today there is a ERP called Infor. Earlier it was
mm-hmm.
managing by a company called Sightline. Now it is took over by Infor. So there I spend quite a good amount of time. There I learn the fundamentals of ERP, the fundamentals of technical artifacts of the ERP, etc., etc. And then I started focusing on the dynamics side.
It's a very interesting journey how we often see solution architects coming from maybe a functional side and then maybe before that, maybe developers, right? That's a path I've seen often, but I've probably not seen a developer jumping to a solution architect type role. That was a big jump. How did you get that opportunity?
Yeah, I think I would say there were a few innate capability was there. Second, my education background, because I
Hmm.
grew up in India. I did my post graduation in masters in commerce. Then I did the masters in business application management. Then also I completed MBA in finance. Okay, so that helped me a lot in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
understanding of the core finance piece, right? How the fundamentals of finance work. So that was, I would say, for me, very easy to understand. Another
Sure.
aspect that I was more inclined towards the technology. So after the graduation, I spent close to 1 year, and I did the one of the known course in here in India. We call it CDAC, and there I learn a lot in that diploma course in terms of the software engineering concept, in terms of the programming, databases, and so on and so forth. Everything I learned, and then I double up together my core knowledge of that I learned from my education background plus the technical knowledge, right? That becomes a strong foundation for me. That's the reason I thought it's a good approach. And then when I started learning in this Blue Star journey, right, there also I
Mhm.
met so much fascinated people, and I inspired from them. one of my friend in that organization, he really inspired me. Why don't you focus on completing the MBA in the finance?
Mm-hmm.
I replied back to him very different way. Are you serious? Are you serious? Or you're joking with me? Then he said, no, you have to do that, and he helped me a lot. Why I should go for that the part-time MBA course from here in India, and I think that helped me a lot because there I learned the fundamentals of the financial accounting, management accounting, all these aspects. Okay, and that's become I become an architect.
You seem to have a lot of good friends. I think a lot of people that I speak with would love to have your friends. They seem to be giving you great advice through your journey. With your solutions architect, if I took another solution design by another architect and I gave it to you, what is the typical things that you notice straight away about what other architects are doing wrong? Do they constantly miss out the integrations? Do they constantly not go deep enough into the detailed design for the solution? Do you get a chance to reflect on these things?
Yeah, I did multiple reviews within the organization, and definitely whenever I get a chance outside the organization, being a community leader and a fast track recognized solution architect. If you
Hmm.
ask me, I try to give a more focus on the pain points that customer is facing. Okay,
Okay.
because I do believe if a guy who is a solution architect, I don't want to teach him how this fundamental is all about of Dynamics ERP product, right? What is more important, he or she to understand the current pain point of a customer. So I
Yes.
try to give more focus on the pain points, what customer is really suffering, and by implementing this solution design, how we are going to get rid of those pain points. If
Okay.
not all, then how we are going to help customer to achieve more in that particular area.
And do you find with the pain points that they are taken directly from what the customer is saying, or is there a certain investigative approach you do to get the customer to talk more and to highlight, the underlying deeper levels of pain? Because if you ask a customer, they'll give you the top line problem, right? They may not themselves understand the true cause, the root cause.
Yeah, if you ask me, there are two fundamental things that as an architect, everyone should able to understand. Definitely, we need to pay more attention to pain points. But to address that pain point, what I strongly believe, you should have that consulting thought process in your mind when you go and talk to customer. Okay,
Hmm.
definitely technology is the outcome to achieve that. But before you get into a technology, I believe that when you have that consulting mindset and when you're talking to a customer, you will really understand the pain point and try to see if that pain point can be addressed by enabling some of the core processes that customer has within their organization, right? It could be change management process, it could be some tweaking in the process, or it could be anything, right? So try to see if
Hmm.
you can contribute your knowledge and thought process into that area before you conclude towards the technology, because technology, I believe, is one of the area where you achieve something, but it does not mean that customer is really going to be happy, because you have to pay additional licensing cost, you have to pay additional the admin privileges or admin overheads, so on and so forth.
Do you see examples where customers, and I've had them in my life in consulting, where a CFO might avoid 100, 200,000 in licensing costs, but create many times that in manual work because the licensing cost is a here and now problem. They just want to not blow their budget. And so they would retain three, five extra people to keep processing the old way. Do you have examples of that where maybe people haven't figured out the direction or the purpose of what they're trying to do with the ERP systems?
If you ask me, in my view, there are close to 60% CX level candidates that I have seen. They try to adopt and go with this pattern just to manage the entire budget of that project, rather the licensing cost. But my suggestion to that level, that if you can achieve that process where there will not be any more burden on your employees, then I think go for it. Otherwise, try to see what you can think from out of the box. For example, if there is a process to optimize, why can't you go with the other routes where you can save X number of man hours in a day-to-day activity, right? If not, then you have only one choice left to go and buy those subscriptions and pay some additional money to Microsoft.
Is it part of your role to backfill that sort of calculations to actually go back and demonstrate the potential savings for them? Where they do, okay,
Yeah, because
I
I
get you.
believe so. Architect, being a solution architect, is also one of the area, right? Expected area where you try to help and educate your customer. These are the area in the licensing bucket where you can, optimize or the cost.
Over the years, I've seen with clients like CFOs or general managers a change in their skill level. That is, it's trending up. So, for example, 10 years ago, when I spoke to CFOs, they may say, look, just make it happen. And they'd wave me off. There'd be a budget, and, well, the whole responsibility would have been shifted to me. But nowadays, I'm seeing the next generation, or maybe just people more interested in ERP systems, they come and they can talk like on the same level. And we're talking about the way the systems are integrated. They're talking about the power platforms. Their understanding is far higher. And because of that, it's great. It's very helpful. But I'm also challenged. I have to step up my game because obviously they can talk deeper and drill deeper into solutions. Have you experienced that with your clients? They're coming to you with a greater understanding of technology.
Yes, I think there are a few clients, they are more matured in terms of what technology can bring a value to their entire ecosystem, right? So there, the architect job is, I would say, a bit easier than others, where they always come forward and say, why don't you leverage the power automate for automation kind of activity that I'm looking for, right? Or sometimes they come back with the thought process that I don't want to customize any kind of area in my ERP system. It's going to be more complex for me from a maintenance perspective. Why don't you leverage the power automation? Okay.
Yes.
So, or sometimes the power apps as well. So that's where I think that maturity level is there. Almost all the customers nowadays.
What about with hypercare? So, for example, much of the budget is consumed, and on the day of go live, it like hits zero. That's what the clients think the budget's for to get you to go live. But as you know, you have to continue your hypercare till cycles go through, whether it's your daily, weekly, monthly cycles. And often the end of year cycle is that final step that you can improve at least once that you've covered all the scenarios. Well, how do you go with the balancing of that budget and making sure that the clients understand to include hypercare for a lengthier period of time so they're not left isolated, just dropped into the, just the BAU as usual?
So to be honest with you, I never faced this kind of issue because the project that I work with, mostly those projects are fixed price project where the hypercare is part of, and the typical area or period for the hypercare is close to 2 or 3 months. Again, it is based on the complexity or the size of that project. But I haven't seen that the customer is running out of budget because of some valid reason during that hypercare period.
Yes. So I imagine you now, we walked through your journey. You arrived at Tata Consulting Services. You've been there for 13 years. At some point in that journey, you thought to yourself, where am I going in life? What can I do for the community? How did that moment bubble up to the surface in your mind? And then what was your response to it at the time?
I think it always happens every day. What I can do better myself and for community. But it's a journey, right? You have to
Hmm,
learn along the way, and definitely you also learn a lot from other community leaders and the members. But I
mhm.
think that aspect comes every day in my mind, and whatever the small contribution that I can do for community, I really enjoy. Whether it's a blog, whether it's any kind of sharing of that learning, or any kind of aspects that really help me to enjoy. And very soon, me and my other leaders for my user group that has belong to Mumbai India user group, the community, we are planning to start a new concept called the 90 days mentor challenges to become a solution architect in this finance and operation app. Because I
Really?
have seen, yeah, I have seen many folks out there. They come from a technical background and a functioning background, and somehow they believe that they have spent close to 5 years, 6 years, or 10 years, but they are trying to find out the way where I'm going to become and what time I'm going to become an architect, right? So we are just trying to define the solution, the structure approach as a free learning for those folks who are really wanted to become a solution architects. Maybe it will be out soon, somewhere around June, mid of June, or maybe beginning of the July. That's how we are working in the background.
I ask you something from a career perspective. Maybe it's at Tata or other places. Do you earn more money as is the only way to earn money that you go higher, like from functional to solutions, or can you stay in a functional level or even as a developer and become better, better, better and earn more going laterally? And the reason I ask you this is how many people want to become solution architects because it's the only way to earn more money?
If you ask me, I think there are many folks out there. They always believe that one day I become an architect, probably I'll earn a lot what I'm currently earning, become maybe
Yes.
as a technical consultant or functioner. I think they are true from their perspective, but I do believe so. There is also another segment where what you most liked it, right? You should go with that path. If you
Hmm.
understood my journey and if I reflect back, I started as a developer and then become a the lead and architect, but I never ever focus on the salary. To be honest, I never kind of pay more attention that okay, if I become architect, then I'll earn a lot. I leave it to my management team what they feel about me, okay, and my skill set, and they appropriately they try to pass that judgment call in terms of salary. But definitely, if someone wants to really go with that path, they can define their own path and see what, because it is also most importantly we need to understand the interest, right? If you just pay more attention to salary to become architect, okay, and if you are not having that amount of interest as an architect, then you will not be able to justify that salary, isn't it, sir?
I totally agree with you. But having had Indian parents myself and many of my colleagues, like mum and dad pushes someone to be a doctor or an engineer or whatever, it's based on the fact that a greater salary makes it more stable for your family. You won't have as many other pressures. So I'm not like putting down the fact that they need to earn money. It's more, I only wish there was other pathways rather than you have to keep going up and up. For example, I love software development. If you could just stay in software development and have great time and earn a good wage, then many people might want to just stay there and enjoy themselves. But I take your point that you've chosen the path of interest and not salary, and good on you for doing that. Hey, I'd like to know, working in Mumbai, do you know where Malad is, by the way? Malad?
Yeah, yeah,
MAL.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know.
I, I, I ju-
It's
I
one
just
of
have
the
family there.
suburb. Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
suburb in Mumbai, Malad.
If I ever go there, I go straight from the airport straight to Malad, and then I have family,
That's
and then I
correct.
go back. And then
Yeah.
Navi Mumbai as well. I got family there as well. So it's a great place to live. But coming back with the culture, when you're dealing with companies overseas, uh, have you noticed that the way in which you think, say, dealing with an Australian company or one country, is different? And the reason I ask you this is because I was talking to Mohammed Yasser, and he was saying if you talk to, say, an Australian company, they say, tell me all the features in D365 F&O. But if I present to an American company, they say, well, you should have customized that presentation specifically for our market, our type of industry, and told me just the features that matter for us. In other words, do your research before you come to us. Working with different companies, do you see a cultural difference in how you have to do things?
Yes, definitely. Every company has its own culture. Okay. But the company that I am working, which is TCS, right? They have a very strong culture and strong values to help customers, right? So we always pay more attention, as I mentioned earlier, try to see how best we can address the customer pain points. Not
Hmm.
always look at the technology side. Technology is one of the side, but see how best we can achieve and try to help customer to resolve the problem statements. But if there are other companies as mentioned by Mohammed Yasser to you earlier, right? So there are
Hmm.
few companies, but again, it's depends upon company's culture by culture, right?
No, I mean like with your clients that you talk to, do you notice differences in how your presentation is carved or cut for different countries?
Yeah. So there are two segments that I have seen. Those
Okay.
clients, those are knowing TCS, what is TCS across the globe. They're actually aware of the TCS culture. But those
Yes.
who are really a new brand name for us, then we typically try to spend more time to define and explain our culture so that client can also learn a lot. Okay. Currently, what the two implementation that I am involved, one of our client, they are pretty new to pieces as an organization. Okay. And their initial days, we spend quite a good amount of time in terms of defining the whole culture so that that agility should be there, and that agility is going to help not only for the technology, not only for the implementation, but also to maintain the long-term relationship with the client.
I get you. I've actually also had a look at your blog, and I've noticed the way you present your personal branding is at a high level. Did you have earlier articles, blogs, where you were actually not as polished? And then you learnt over time, you go, okay, this is how I need to structure my titles. This is how I need to have that front um, cover photo. How did that happen? Did it happen on day one, or did it take you years?
No, definitely not day one. Day one was completely a learning. I'll be very honest with you. And
Sure.
then over a period of time, close to 1 year, it took me close to 1 year to reach to that level. Okay. But you know what I mean? I try to spend quite a good amount of time to understand how other leaders try to make more focus on how they write and all. And I also try to watch a lot of YouTube videos from a different leaders from the
Yes.
different technologies companies, how they talk, how they try to define the problem statement, right? So
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the things that I have learned from the community, many folks they write a blogs based on their skill set. Okay, some may be good at a technical, some may be good at architecture, and some may be good at a functional area across finance, supply chain, commerce, and HR. One thing I have noticed, there are few people within the community, they try to define the problem statements. Okay. And I picked up that point from that point onward. If you look at most of
Yes.
my blog, where if I know everything, nowadays everything is available. You can use a chat GPT, you can use a Gemini. Everywhere you'll find all the answers. If not 100%, close to 50%. What is really
Yes.
missing, the practical experience. So if you define the problem statement, probably that problem statement can help others. They're also suffering from the
Yes.
same problem statement. That's the reason I gradually learn a lot. Second, from my wife, I picked up a one good habit. Learn a lot of
She says
books.
more.
Okay.
You say one, she
Yes.
says 10.
So she actually read a lot of books in a day, or if not a week. So I picked up that habit from her and tried to read at least one book in a week, if not two. Okay, I tried to
That's
pay more
incredible.
attention to that, and that really helped me to define the subject very precise. Okay, most of the blogs probably you would see that where I try to define some sort of different nomenclature because that comes from what I learned from these books. Okay, all kind of
Yes.
books, not any specific category of the book, but that's how it reached to a level of the way I'm writing a blog nowadays.
Yes, it actually it's funny to say this, but it's also entertaining. So there's an aspect of pure fact and logic that you're presenting, and then you've gotten into my mind by saying, I know you want to be tickled. I know you want your eyes to be played with the various colors, the fonts, the layout. And because of that, it's almost like candy to me. And I want to go and click on it because it's sugary and sweet. So there's something where you've learned that very well. And because of that, maybe people can use yours as a template for how to do a blog, right? They don't have to copy it, but just it's a good way of thinking.
And there is another point within my team. The majority of team members they belong to Gen Z. Okay, and they have
Yes.
a lot of power, they have a lot of energy, and they have a lot of visualization. So I learn a lot of things from my team as well. while working on a project, and they try to adopt and try to implement what you can see on my blogs and my YouTube videos and all.
You know, you have one photo of you, and this is a compliment. Everything about each of the images is different, and there's this one feature that gives continuity across all of them. If someone were to see it, they would say, "Oh no, he's different photos." But if you look closely, it's the same photo, and I think that's a great thread that goes through all of your blog listings. Tell me about D365 Cliff Notes, Cliff's Notes. Who's Cliff's?
So I think there is a story behind. When I started a
Yes,
journey back in 2005 in Dynamic
yes,
365, I joined that organization called Blue Star Infotech. Okay,
yes.
I joined as a Accepta developer, and you know what happened within a 2 weeks of time, I got to know that no, I'm no longer will be part of the Accepta team. I'll be part of the Navision team. So I
Mm,
discussed with the management team why that change has happened, because I do have an experience of VC++, which is the programming, the object-oriented concepts. I can pick up except as a X++ language, etc. They said, no, right now we don't have any project. And after 2 weeks of time, I spent day in, day out in terms of understanding the Navision tool. And I don't know what happened after 3 weeks of time. All of a sudden, they came to me, no, 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 you have to start focusing on Accepta again. Okay. And that's how I entered into Accepta. I don't know what happened in the background, and that's how I started into Accepta. Since that day until I think 2018 and 19, I am not actively involved in the community. Though I was fully focused on my day-to-day activity and projects, and a lot of traveling was there before TCS and within TCS as well. But then one of the things that really inspired me, I tried also a lot how to become MVP. Okay. And
mm,
those days, I was literally struggling to understand what are the criteria to become a MVP. Okay. And one fine day, what happened? I connected a guy called Fawad Khan. Fawad was managing the community. He was a community manager close to 2 years back, and he helped me a lot how to achieve the MVP. And then he defined that path for me, to be honest with you. He helped me a lot to connect to other folks, those who are really became an MVP with his guidance, and I connected those people. And then I said, okay, that's a journey, and that defines me to come up with that domain name of my blog post. It's a Cliff Notes.
yes,
So Cliff stands for something is strong. It's a hard rock, and notes something that I could learn in day and day activities, in day to day activities, that I can simplify the learning for others. That's become the Cliff Notes. Now I have to attach that Cliff Notes to some of the technology. I could go for a Power Platform. I could go for a Dynamic 365. But then I realized that could be too clumsy. Then I stick to only D65, and that become D365 Cliff Notes.
yes. If I was your friend at the time, Rakesh, I would have said you can also fall off a cliff and die. So I would have teased you about it. Anyway, okay, you're writing your blog. I'm thinking how you sit down, and I want to help other people who maybe are going to write their first article on LinkedIn. How do you sit down and work me through writing a blog post so that another person can get over their fear of taking their knowledge, solving a simple problem, like you said, solving a pain point, and then pressing the post button? Because that's the hardest thing to do, right? And you do it all the time.
I think if you ask me, if someone is trying to start their journey today onwards, maybe a week it is going to be hard, but after maybe a week later it is going to be a smooth journey. Okay.
Hmm.
If you ask me how do I write a blog, then what I typically do, I do have plenty of apps on my mobile. Whenever I get some free time during my lunch or during my the specific segment that I get in a day, I try to make a note of those points. Still, I do have a list of blogs that I supposed to
Hmm.
write. So I always start with, okay, the blog titles. Okay.
I
If I
see.
reach
I
to
see.
at least 10 digit of title, then I go into each and every blog. And within that blog, I cannot write the entire journey in a day, right? So I
Yes.
start my day around, say, for example, Monday morning, and I try to list down the points that I need to simplify during my weekend time. Okay. So that really helped me. Say, for example, Monday to Friday, if I list down the few sections in my mobile device for one particular block, then that
Hmm.
actually try to help me to summarize on Saturday or Sunday whenever I get
I
time.
see.
Otherwise, it's too
Yes,
difficult.
I see. So your mind is fertile during the week, constantly planting little seeds into your phone or your mobile device. And then when you arrive at the weekend, you've already have a structured set of hooks that you're going to now fill in with the actual content. Okay. And then because you said you've already figured out your title, you're not sitting there for hours trying to get a punchline going. It's a straightforward one. Okay. And then at the end of this, I know you told me this before, I'm not repeating it, but you're not really worried about what others think of you. But do you go back and verify? Do you show it to your friend, family?
No,
Please read this.
I try to discuss with my team. As I mentioned, most of the people within my team, they belong to Generation Z. So they understand what really wants. So if I get a time or if they're also available during that time, I try to showcase the high level content that I'm trying to highlight. So that's how I
Hmm.
get the review. Okay. Say, for example, I define the problem statement. If that problem statement is not going to help others, there is no point to list down the
Yeah,
blocks for me, right? So
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
try to help me to list down these, validate whether it is really going to be understood by the third person. That is point number one. Point number two, once the entire blog is ready, right? Then I
Are they
always
honest?
try,
So I
yeah,
was
yeah,
going to say, are they honest? They're
yeah,
not
they
like
always
saying,
on. Yeah, they always honest.
even if it hurts
That
you.
they always honest.
Oh,
They never looked at that. He's my senior. How can I say that whether it's right or no? They're always honest. They're always honest.
dang.
Okay.
Wow.
And they always give me a kind of a whether it's a positive or negative feedback. In fact, many times happened, I wrote a two paras and they always mentioned to me, no, these three paras are not going to help you. You reduce to two paras. Or maybe you remove the entire para, try to have this kind of aspect, maybe some pictorial view and something like that. That will really help you a lot. Okay.
That's
So
nice.
yeah.
It's a bit like your support team. In fact, you might be an honorary Gen Z, you know, that after a while, if you mix with them, it might rub off onto you and you won't want to hang out with anyone who's older than Gen Z. You just hang out with them, listen to their music.
I try my level best day to day, but to be honest with you, I'm still not there yet. Okay. I'm learning a lot.
I'll have a look at your playlist on your phone. I'll tell you which gen you're on.
Okay.
That's exciting. So then, moving from blobs to videos, what are your thoughts? And then the last point I'd love to also talk about is CoPilot. How you feel about that? Which one would you like to do first?
I think I would like to go for a co-pilot first. That's how
Okay.
the nowadays the buzzword of co-pilot, right?
Okay, let's do that. Tell us about CoPilot and your thoughts as to what people should be doing to get themselves CoPilot ready. Um, it's a big jump for many people to get their company turned on and started, especially with privacy of documents.
So if you ask me, nowadays this co-pilot is no more a buzzword, to be honest. Okay, it's a reality, but still it is still in the early phase of this technology world. What I believe we should not completely rely on the co-pilot. We should start focusing how the co-pilot can help end users in day-to-day activities. Okay,
Yes.
that is point number one. Point number two, the technology changing up fast in terms of, as you mentioned, how we are managing the security and the document aspects. We have to, within that design and the security principle, we have to design the solution for a customer as well. There are a set of guidelines for AI around that Microsoft has published. I would highly recommend those who are really focusing on this co-pilot, they should adhere and at least learn those guidelines so that whenever they build any kind of a custom co-pilot for their customer, that will be within that boundary of the AI principles that Microsoft has baseline.
Yeah, I saw on your blog article, you're referring to the top 10 examples for to help people try to punch through this veil that's in front of us. And have you found the clients are pulling it through, or are you finding you're pushing to get the clients to step up and have a try of this solution?
No, I think many of my clients, they are really interested to go for it. Okay. In fact, 2 weeks before, I had a one visit here in India. I met one of my clients and I showcased the demo of this CoPilot capability, CoPilot Studio and all, and they liked it very much. In fact, many of my clients, they're also follower of my blogs and my LinkedIn profile, and they always try to, learn from it. So they're always fascinated on this CoPilot technology. I have never ever seen my client where they are confused about CoPilot or they are not interested. They're really interested about it.
Wow. 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 Okay, so now let's go back to your videos. How did you make the jump from the written word to being in person? Did it difficult for you or?
In fact, to be honest with you, initially it was really difficult for me because I had to manage a lot of things. One is you should have the proper setup when you create or make any kind of a videos. Second, you should have your the script ready, what you're going to
Yes.
capture, what topic that you are going to lead. And I had learned a lot in initial day. I I actually registered a lot of online courses to learn a lot how to baseline your structure because when you talk to your friend, you can talk a lot, but when you prepare the video, you should have a structured approach, right? So that you
Yes.
can
Yes.
define that individual segments, right? So that's how I focus on this YouTube video. And why I have decided to go for a YouTube video because I believe so. There are many people now they try to pay more attention to the visual representation than the blogs. So I thought, let me just divide my time 50% for blogging and 50% for the YouTube video. But in addition to this, what I thought, if I start focusing on the videos for my community user groups, that probably would
Mhm.
help. That's what we probably would see nowadays. We are making a lot of videos for on new topics.
And are you driven with those topics from your community, or are you finding that it's your own research that's trying to pluck it out? I know you have your crew in the company, but where is the topics originating from at the very start?
In fact, it's a combination of both. One is what is coming in the marketplace from Microsoft, what technology
Yes.
that they are trying to focus.
Yes.
Second, how that technology, whether it's a co-pilot or whether it's any other AI sort of thing, how that can help within the area of my ERP segment or Power Platform segment, and customers or maybe for that matter the community members or leaders, how they can learn for it. That's how I try to divide and derive the topics. Third segment that I can foresee, many folks to LinkedIn, they reach out to me and they try
Hmm.
to list on the topics that can you just explain these points to me. In fact, today morning only one of a guy from community, he texts me that I watch your co-pilot series of discussion. Is it possible for you to help me to define the advanced curriculum for co-pilot? I'm really interested in that. So I get a lot of things from the community, and then based on that I define the next topic.
It's like you had to have 5 days out of 7 every week just to deal with those, responses. Rakesh, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for teaching me and showing me the many different ways to tackle blogging. I hope the people watching this also get inspired to start their own. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for
Have a
having me
wonderful
here.
day.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
Chris.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Yeah.
Mobeez is a community-run organization. We believe in liberating people from the shackles of monotony, inspiring them to dream bigger and reach higher. We empower them to focus on the things that matter, growing their skills, solving new problems, and helping others on a global scale.
We eliminate manual work that stands between people and their future, preventing them from learning new technologies, unleashing their talents, and leaving a legacy that has a lasting impact.
Freedom doesn't wait. Join us at Mobeez.com.